spent the night in this machine last night. It's the new Prinoth Leitwolf X, which is basically a park version of the Leitwolf. It's the Leitwolf X winch as well, so obviously it's got a winch on it. I did learn how to winch in a Leitwolf, so reasonably familiar with them. I've spent a season or two in the Leitwolf, so I am familiar with the old ones, and yeah, I wasn't familiar with this at all. They've changed the joystick and they've got a new display screen in the cab. It's all touchscreen LCD. It's pretty nice. The joystick, we have it in our new Bison X as well, and I want to be a fan of it, but I'll see if I can show you what I mean. So this is the new joystick, and it looks pretty good. It's got a good layout, I thought. It is better than the old ones for certain things, and certain things it's not. Up here is your tiller speed, I believe. It seemed when you changed that, it didn't change the speed of the tiller, so there's probably something I don't understand about the system there. I think it's proportional to how much hydraulic priority you want to run between the tracks, the blade, the tiller, and the winch. I know you can change all that. I just don't know how to do it because, like I say, I've been in this for one shift, so there's a lot that I don't know about it. There's all these face buttons. A lot of those are the same as what were in the old Leitwolf. They're sort of for changing suspension, camera. I think there's one for the tiller parallel offset, which is a good system. That one there, I think, was for float or down pressure and up pressure. So that's your tiller pressure. That's your tiller follow, so you double click it to center, and I think you can click it to make the tiller go into float. And then if you use this little hat here, that's for your tiller swing. So this sort of where my problem with the joystick starts, is these buttons they all stick out quite a long way. They're all quite prominent buttons, and so they're quite easy to bump with your thumb, because this joystick, because of this and the way things are behind it, it forces your hand to sit in this position, and you tend to bump, or I tended to bump sort of the swing occasionally, or this, I think that's cut as well. I'm still getting my head around what does what, to be honest. I did have it figured out. I think I can do it by hand more than I can by explaining it, if that makes sense. These are for your Dumbo ears, and I found that was kind of an awkward spot. The problem is when you want to lift your Dumbo ears, it's usually because you're going around an obstacle and you want to lift your ears out of the way quickly. And this is, so I should explain this first. This is for your blade. So you got your blade curl in that direction, and then blade slew in that direction. So blade slew, blade curl. So you're using that. You can use the old buttons. There's same as the old Bison, old Leitwolf. There's buttons on the back there, so you can still hold those buttons and move the joystick to operate the blade. But I mean, I wanted to try this out. It does work really well. I quite like that. The blade's really quick, which is nice. It's way faster than the old ones. But the problem is, if you're using this, you can't use a lot of the other buttons simultaneously, obviously, because your thumb is tied up with that. And the problem there is, when you're blading, like I say, if you're going around something and you want to lift your Dumbo ear, you're going to have to lift your thumb and reposition your hand to hit those. So it's not something you can just move your thumb to hit. I can't, because these stick out so far, I can't hit that with the inside of my thumb. So you do have to physically remove your thumb from the blade to hit these. And that's quite a big movement. I know it doesn't look like much in a video, but when you're trying to do things quickly, that's a big movement to make. And you can end up making a mistake. Maybe you have a blade dive, or you don't get your Dumbo ear up in time, and then you end up hitting something. So the other alternative is you have to slow down, which obviously is going to ruin your productivity. It's got the same as the old Bison. You got the side button here for your tiller lift and drop. That worked pretty well. So you double click it to drop, and you click it once to lift. On this, I think you can change it, but on this you click it once, it lifts. If you click it again, it doesn't lift further. I think there must be another button for that. But in the Bison X, if you click that once, it lifts. If you click it again, it lifts higher. Yeah, I'd got these mixed up a lot in the dark. So I'd be going to swing the tiller, and then I'd go and do whatever the function is on that. I can't remember what it is, but I'd end up bumping that and the tiller wouldn't swing. And yeah, it's just probably a question of getting used to where things are. But they feel exactly the same. And if you've moved your thumb off, again, if you've moved your thumb off that to do something else and you don't move it in the right direction, it's not going to do what you're expecting it to do. This dial here is for the winch pull. And again, if I'm using this for the blade, I can't use that for the winch pull, because I have to stop blading to move to there, and the time it takes you to move your thumb to there and add a bit of tension or drop some tension, you could have a blade dive, you might come up to an undulation or something and drop your whole blade full of snow, so you'd have to revert back to using the back buttons. But I don't understand why you'd make it so that you have to sort of choose one or the other. So I found myself using the automatic winch more than anything, and that didn't work too badly. It was pretty good. And you can wind the tension down as you get up to close to your anchor, or if you want to run lower pull into minimum for turning around or whatever, you can quite easily just drop that quickly and then you push it back out and then it'll go back into automatic. And if you just need a quick boost, you can flick it and it should take itself up to maximum pull. I mean, if I spend a bit more time with it, I might like it a bit more. I found there's a lot of combinations you have to do with holding one of these back buttons and pressing one of the front buttons. For example, because the winch boom on these sits really close to the machine, you can actually hit the winch boom with your tiller if you lift your tiller and turn around and the back end of the machine's up too high compared to where your cable's anchored. So you have to drop your tiller a lot of the time to make sure that you don't smash the tiller with your winch boom. And that's a button, I think it was this one, I still don't really know, because there's two buttons, those two buttons are quite close together, and yeah, you're going to end up hitting them with the same finger. It has to be that finger for me, because there's this thing stopping you moving your hand in any different position. So it's one of those back buttons and this, and then again, a lot of the time, if you hit that same button, or if you hit the lower button, I think, and you use that, it does your Dumbo air, so you end up dropping a Dumbo air instead of dropping the tiller. So again, you probably get used to it over a long period of time, but I don't like the position of the buttons, unfortunately. I think the joystick is a good concept, but I think there's too many things that you have to struggle to reach. Your thumb has to move so far to do everything, and I've got big hands, and you have to change the position of your hand a lot of the time to get to certain things. Compared to the competitor's joystick, I still think this is not quite as good, unfortunately. I'm not trying to Prinoth bash, I'm just giving my honest opinion on the machine. Overall, I think the machine's really good. It's a massive improvement over the old Leitwolf, which I've spent enough time in to know whether I like it or not. The old Leitwolf was pretty good, but this thing's miles better. It's set up a lot better. The tiller leaves a really good pass behind the machine as well, which is great. That's what you want. That's half the function of the machine is the tiller, and the tiller on this thing's really good. The blade is heaps better. The blade control, it's really responsive and quick, which I really like. So this is the new display screen. It's a lot better than the old machines. You can move it back and forth depending on how tall you are to get the glare off the screen. Unfortunately, I'm parked outside, so there is a bit of glare on it. But up here you've got, this is how many turns you've got on your winch cable, because hard to explain, but you can only go 14 times turning around in one direction before the cable starts twisting. So it tells you how many times you need to turn in whatever direction to untwist it, basically. This tells you how much cable you've got on, and that tells you how much pull you've got on the winch at any given time. It's just a general overview. I think maybe that flashes if you've got a problem somewhere. This tells you what lights are on. You got your reverse camera in here. You can change all these too, I think. Don't ask me how, but you can change the layout here as well, and you can put whatever wherever. Reverse camera is really good, so you can see the drum in there, which is really handy. Yeah, same thing, lights. This will come up with your tiller float. Excuse my destroyed finger. That will tell you whether your tiller's in float or what side of center it is. You've got all your tiller settings there. Yeah, so float or up pressure. Oop, it's a really sensitive touchscreen. So you got your float or down pressure or up pressure there, tiller speed, tiller cut. I probably should go into that. I don't really understand the depth system. To me, minus 40% is not, I don't understand how that works. I just probably need it explained to me. I imagine there's nothing wrong with the machine, it's just my intelligence. But yeah, it can go to plus 100 or something. I think it can go higher than that actually, and into minus, so that's strange. I don't really understand that. So got all your angle gauges there. Honestly, they're probably a bit small for me. I can't really look at them at a glance and see what I'm doing, but maybe I'm just an old man and can't see things well enough. And yeah, fuel and AdBlue gauges there. You can adjust your mirrors on the screen here. That's your seatbelt tensioner for the harness, air conditioning, audio. You can change all your lights individually in here, which obviously we have. I'm sorry for the quality of the screen. It would have been nicer if this was parked inside, but we don't get that choice. All the buttons are pretty much the same as the old Leitwolfs and Bisons. They're just on a nicer display now. This is all the same. Your park brake, your hydraulic engage and disengage, and your horn. You got your suspension there. That's for reeling out the winch cable. That's for activating the winch. That's for reeling the cable back in, and that's for reeling in the cable at a certain, well, I think it reels in 2 meters or something like that. Float, I don't even know what that does. That's a toggle for the screen as well. I think it's for the stereo. Yeah, it is. I never used that, so not really worried about that. So I think that the machine overall is a huge improvement over the old Leitwolf, but one thing, I mean, there's a few gripes I have with it, unfortunately. I think as a free cat, that'd be really good. We do have a free cat here. I hadn't driven it before this. I might take it for a spin and see what I think of that. They haven't upgraded the winch really in any way, as far as I can tell. And, well, actually they have. I'll show you. So, look, this is my gripe for the winch. In a piston bully, you hit a button, it reels out the cable as much as you want it to. It's pressure sensitive, so you barely have to pull it for the cable to come with you. It's really easy to hook up. And then the tension, it's really easy as well. This one, maybe it's just me, but I struggle with it. We have a few towers that we have to climb with the winch cable, and you don't want to have to carry extra crap with you. The hook itself on this is really heavy. It's quite heavy duty. That's fine, whatever. Maybe I just need to spend more time in the gym. It's heavier than the piston bully. It needs to be heavy duty, so that's fine, whatever. When you're climbing a winch tower, climbing up a ladder in the wind or the snow or the rain or a combination of all three, you don't want to be carrying this little thing. This is smaller than the old one. It doesn't have a lanyard on it though, so you can't really clip it to your belt or anything like that. So you have to hold down this little button here at the same time as holding down the R button here for it to know that you're using the remote. And then to reel out the cable, you hit this button. And then to reel it back in is that button. And it's, I understand why. It's a different style of winch compared to the piston bully. So it doesn't work the same way. The piston bully keeps tension on the cable itself. It's got a system for keeping tension on the cable itself, whereas this machine needs sort of something feeding it out and pulling it at the same time, I guess. But it is a pain in the ass. I was kind of disappointed to see a remote in this machine again. I really hoped they'd gotten rid of that. The winch is pretty good. It's got plenty of power. And yeah, it's more than capable pulling, obviously. It does the job that a winch does. But it doesn't have any new safety features, or obviously the active boom on the piston bully is probably a patented thing, so it's not like they can go copying that with Prinoth's machines. But it would be good if they could come up with something, because it does save your ass in some situations. And I know the Prinoth guys will say, well, you don't need it. If you're any good at operating the machine, you don't need it. That's cool. You don't need ABS in a car either, but when the shit hits the fan, it helps. And I'm pretty sure these days machines are all about making the job easier and more efficient and more safe. And if you're going back to the age-old, oh, well, you should be good enough, yeah, that doesn't fly all the time. Especially in this job, people come and go all the time. Some people might drive a snowcat for a season, some might do it for 30 seasons, and anywhere in between. So if you've got a guy who's there for a couple of seasons, you want him to be able to pick up as much about the machine as possible and to do the job as easy as possible. So if you're not making the machine easier for the operator, you're going to have a hard time moving your machines, in my opinion. I'm not going to make any friends with that opinion, but that is my opinion. So I can do it the hard way. I used this machine last night in vegan. I only had one little slip up, and I wouldn't really blame the machine. It's probably just my lack of time in the seat in this machine. And I managed to fix the problem with the machine as well. So it's not that the machine's bad. It's just that I feel like it should have come a bit further with regards to those sorts of systems. These do the job, and if they're the sort of machine that you like, then they are cheaper apparently, so they're still worth the investment. And yeah, I think as a free cat, that'd be a lot better. If you take the winch off it, I think these would be an amazing machine. Really, they're very quick, good at covering ground. They've got a good tiller on them now, good blade. So I think there's definitely a lot of pros to them. They're good machines. I just have my own personal preference.